Bass seems to be the hardest thing that people struggle with. I get emails all the time and people are like, hey, what is wrong with the low end in my song? How can I get my bass to cut through my phone speakers? And why isn't my mixes translating in my car? And I've done videos on all of those. But there is still a lot to learn about your bass. And in this video, I'm going to teach you the #1 counterintuitive trick that I thought was a bunch of bullcrap before I actually started using it. So if you're new to my channel, I'm Andrew Barr, and this is Producing in the Box, where I teach you how to make incredible sounding music without analog gear, and I think you are better off without it. If you do any sort of production at all, I'm sure you know what compression is. But that seems to be one tool that a lot of people, myself included, struggled with for a long time. Well, I want to make it easy for you, so if you just click the link in the description and download my free Mom in the Car compression checklist. I heard this analogy a long time ago where they compared Mom in the Car to compression, and I thought it was absolutely genius. So I just put it into a quick 1-page bullet list of every single knob and how it actually relates to that analogy. You can print it off, hang it somewhere in your studio, or just take a screenshot of it and save it to your phone. It is super handy to just look at and reference anytime you open up a compressor plugin. Like I said, it's completely free. It is my gift to you for watching my channel and for clicking that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. So now let's get into the mix and take a listen to our counterintuitive but very useful bass mixing technique. So I hate using the term technique or tip and trick all the time because sometimes that's not exactly what you need. Sometimes what you need to know are the fundamentals. But this is something that I like to call a technique because, man, it really is something quick and easy that you can start implementing today that will get you incredible sounding bass tones. When I first heard what people were doing to their bass to make it sound good in the mix, I was like, what in the world's going on? I was downloading these stems from these bands that I was paying for, and I was trying to break down how they were making their mixes. And then I started using these techniques, and it was like, wow, now my mixes sound really, really good. So what I do is I run my bass to a bus here, and I call it distortion bass or dis bass. So let's take a listen to what the bass sounds like in the song with and without this bus, and then I'll show you exactly what I'm doing to make it sound like this.
Breathe it in, what hurts the most, all these stories that we'll never tell.
So now let's solo the bass and see what it's doing by itself. Man, doesn't that sound freaking weird? When it's by itself, it sounds kind of rough, but in the mix, it really helps tie everything together. I like to look at my guitars and my bass as a triangle. So if we have our triangle here, we have a guitar, and at the bottom of the triangle here, where our thumbs meet, that is where our bass is. But our bass also goes up and above the guitars as well and kind of clamps everything down together. So I have all of these low frequencies that my guitars aren't reaching. Now I have a lot of these higher frequencies and some mid-range frequencies that my guitars aren't hitting either. It's called that clank, that bass clank that we really, really love in rock and metal productions. So here is exactly what I'm doing to get there, and it's really simple. Load a guitar plugin and just crank up the treble and presence and run it as a bus channel that you can blend in with your original bass. So I'm literally running a bass through a guitar amp, but it's giving me that high-end crunch that I'm really, really looking for. And if I blend it in with my original bass, so let's bring this down and then slowly bring it up. It really adds a lot of high-end just distortion and grit, but it takes everything and brings it together. So let's listen to this song without the vocals, just the music itself. I feel like that's a really, really good sweet spot. What you really want to do with this is kind of start down at the bottom without anything in there, and then bring it up until you start to hear it, just barely start to hear it, and that's usually a really good sweet spot. Now, one more thing I want to check is just the guitars and the bass, and I want to show you how that triangle actually works. See how that bass has got some frequencies that are just like off the wall compared to these guitars. These guitars are nice and tight and mid-rangey and punchy. And then that bass has got a nice tight low end because we don't mess around with the original bass. We run this to a bus and then we add our guitar amp plugin and then we start to push it from there. Now, honestly, go give this a try because this will literally change your mixes. It'll make things sound better on your phone, on small speakers. It'll also make things sound better in your car and on your studio monitors. And you can do this with any genre. It doesn't just have to be rock and metal. I know worship contemporary uses this same technique. I know that rap and hip hop uses this same technique where they just distort their 808s. Adding distortion really adds a lot of color and can really tighten things in and bring it in. So if you've gotten any value out of my channel whatsoever, would you mind just scrolling down and clicking that little share button and sharing this with a friend that might not know what this technique is? So thank you for being here. Thank you for watching my content. And now, as always, go create.